Hey, I want to tell you a little bit of a secret about me. I absolutely hate the bank. And so I have learned a way to get loans for real estate investing without using the bank. In fact, without using a down payment, without even using my credit. And that way of getting a loan is called hard money. That's what this video is going to be about, is to explain to you what hard money is, how to use it, and issues to avoid when using hard money. Now the internet has let this secret out of the bag, and a lot of people who don't understand real estate investing and don't understand what's happening inside of a deal have gone broke, even if they're using hard money. But if you hang on to the end of this video, I'm going to explain to you a tip that has worked absolutely unbelievably to develop a relationship with a hard money lender unlike any others, that has made me more money than anything else. Stick around and I'll teach you how to implement this and get access to essentially an infinite amount of capital to do deals with. So let me get into it real quick. A hard money lender is different than the bank. You see, the bank, they want to lend money, but they only want to lend money against pretty properties that have been fixed up, that look nice, that can go through an inspection and not have major issues, that will also go through an appraisal, that a third-party person will verify the value of that property. But there's a lot of inventory across the country that is known as distressed inventory. These are properties that have been beat up. They may not have a furnace. They may have windows busted out. They may have holes in the wall. They may have a kitchen. They may not have a kitchen. And if they do have that kitchen, it might be incredibly dated, and no inspector would come in and say that this is a safe house to live in. No appraiser would actually give a decent appraisal on it because it's so beat up. This is the type of house that I buy. I want to be able to buy houses for cheap, fix them up, add value, and make a return on my money. So the type of property that hard money lenders will lend against are distressed properties. Wells Fargo won't lend on it. And so a whole nother category of lending has been created known as hard money. Now these hard money lenders will be lending at way higher rates than the traditional banking model. Why? Because they have a much more risky investment. And therefore, because of that risk, their interest rates are much higher. You're looking at between 10 and 15% interest only. You're also looking at putting in points. A point is 1% of whatever you borrow. So if you borrowed $100,000 and you were charged 1 point, it would cost you $1,000 just to get the loan. Hard money lenders charge between 2 and 5 points. Years ago, when this was a more novel concept, the standard rate was 5 points, 15%. Someone who's getting a loan for $100,000 against this distressed property would have to give the hard money lender $5,000 just to start, plus a 15% return. So on top of that $5,000 to get the loan, you would also have to pay $1,250 every single month until you pay off that loan. Now, many of you who are new to real estate investing look at that and say, that is unbelievably high rates. Why would anyone ever get a hard money loan? Typically, the reason for it is that when you have a property out there that needs a lot of work, maybe it's going to take to do the entire project $200,000. $150,000 of that will be the purchase price, but $50,000 of it is going to be the rehab. Well, what if you only have $50,000? You're going to have to fill in the gap with some money. And the easy way to do it is with these people who are in the business, who understand that they're lending against distressed inventory. Because if that property, once it's all fixed up, is worth $300,000, they come in with a pretty safe investment. Don't be concerned about the high points and the high interest. This is an investment. Don't take it personally. Just add it into your numbers, and if it works, it works. That's what a hard money lender is. Someone who is willing to fund the purchase of a distressed property, potentially even fund the rehab on it, that says, hey, we're putting up the money, you're gonna pay us interest. If things go sideways, we're gonna take the asset. Because another distinction between a hard money lender and a regular lender is that a hard money lender is lending against the asset. They're more concerned about what the property is gonna be worth when it's all fixed up, your ability to manage a rehab, and ultimately how much they're going to have to put into the deal to have a safe investment. Hard money lenders underwrite the deal based on the asset and what's going on with the entire project, whereas traditional lenders underwrite based on who you are, your credit score, your job, your debt to income ratio, how long you've been at your workplace. They're more concerned with your ability to pay than the house itself. Of course they care about the house, that's why they get an appraisal to begin with, but they're more concerned with your ability to pay them back. Now all of this sounds really good, and you may have read on the internet about how this product might work for your situation, but there are a few downfalls. See, one of the issues with hard money lenders is that they'll only lend typically 70% of the after repaired value. So if a property is worth, after it was all fixed up, $200,000, a hard money lender is only going to give you a loan for a max of $140 if they're lending at 70%. So unless you're able to get a significant deal, it's likely that you're going to have to put money into this deal, which is part of the reason why hard money lenders do this to begin with. They do want for you to have some skin in the game. Many people have heard that hard money lenders will fund their entire deal, and that can be true. However, there are some nuances that you need to be aware of. If the purchase price is $120 and the house needs $20,000 worth of work, they may lend all $140. However, they're only going to lend that $120 when you purchase it. They're going to then hold back $20,000 in escrow for rehab, and typically a hard money lender is going to want for you to have fixed up the house to a certain point and then give you money. So before you get a loan from them, you better make sure you understand their escrow policy. Are they going to wait for you to rehab the house and then reimburse you? Will they only give you money for materials? How do they do their inspections? Do you have to pay for those inspections? So other issues dealing with a hard money lender is the high likelihood of you losing the deal. Let me explain. When you go and acquire a distressed property that needs a significant amount of work, you go in with assumptions. So between the time that you acquire it and the time that you sell it, there's a ton of risk there based on a lot of assumptions. You may have assumed that the house needs 20 grand worth of work, but then all of a sudden you find that there's mold, there's asbestos, lead-based paint. Because you're dealing with distressed properties, it can absolutely blow your rehab budget. Additionally, you could have been wrong on your comps. You could have thought that the house sells for 200 grand, but really is going to sell for 180. You just ran the wrong comps, didn't understand the neighborhood good enough, the market shift, a number of reasons why that property is now worth less. Now there's some significant risk there. If you bought a property with hard money, had to put $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 of your own money into it and then lose it, whose benefit is that? It's the benefit of the hard money lender. They are looking at it from the eyes of an investor. The hard money lender cares about the deal and the return that he's going to get on that deal, whether that's from interest from you or from the deal itself. You see, it's not as easy to work with a hard money lender as it may initially appear to be. If it were easy, everyone would do it. If there were no risk, everyone would do it. Just because you've learned these techniques on the internet doesn't mean that they're going to work for you if you've not put in the work for it. So I'm going to give you a few tips in dealing with a hard money lender. Number one, know your numbers. Make sure you have different opinions on your ARV. Get several bids for what the construction is going to cost. Particularly if this is your first time using hard money and doing construction, where you're going to fall down 9 times out of 10 using hard money is going to be in the construction. We throw around numbers of rehab 20, 30, 40, but if you don't understand what's in those numbers, you are going to have a difficult time maintaining that budget. Make sure you understand all the closing costs associated if you're doing fix and flips. It's not just ARV minus repair. You've got to also add in realtor fees, closing costs, title costs, holding costs. And by holding costs, I mean the insurance against the property, the taxes, mowing the grass, dealing with the city. Also, make sure you build in what kind of interest you're going to be paying over that time. You see, these additional costs are what the new person who's first using hard money totally forget about. They'll go into a deal assuming they're going to make 20 grand and might be lucky to make 5 because they didn't account for all of these numbers. Make sure you know your numbers. Point number 2, only borrow the purchase price. You see, hard money lenders will lend on both the purchase price and the rehab. However, it gets much more pricey, more difficult to escrow that rehab amount. So what you may want to consider is just having that hard money lender finance the purchase price. Yep, you're going to have to come out of pocket with some capital to do the rehab, but when you only borrow the purchase price and then use your funds for the rehab, that hard money lender gets a nice warm and fuzzy feeling that you've got skin in the game, that you are going to make sure that this investment goes to the end and accomplishes exactly what your plans were to begin with, whether that's a fix and flip or buy and hold. You'll likely get better points and likely get better interest doing it that way. Point number 3, and this is the reason you should have watched to the very end. Turn your hard money lender into a partner. Hard money lenders are just investors. Sometimes they're with big companies, but most of the time they're wealthy individuals who are sitting on a pile of cash, who have lines of credit that they borrow out of that line of credit and lend to you. All they're trying to do is make a return on their money. So rather than borrowing from a hard money lender, turn them into a partner. It's really simple. You come to a hard money lender with a great deal. You say, hey, I know you lend money, but would you consider partnering on this deal? And roll out the numbers. So let me give you an example. Say I got a $200,000 deal. After it's all fixed up, it'll be worth $200,000. I pick it up for $120. It needs $30,000 $30,000 worth of work. I can go get a loan for $140, put my own $10,000 into it. I'm in at $150. So we sell it for $200,000. For me, it only costs me about 5% because I use flat fee listings. Yes, I pay a buyer's agent a full commission, and the closing costs are nominal. So I typically know that it's going to cost me about 5%. So in this case, $10,000 is going to come right out of my profit for closing costs and all that kind of stuff. I've also got to add in the fees that I've paid to this hard money lender. Let's say this 140 cost me 2 points, 12%. It's gonna cost me right at $10,000. Actually, $10,300 for all you people who check my math. So we have a $200,000 house. I paid $10,000 in realtor fees and closing costs. I paid $10,000 to my hard money lender in interest and points. The total amount in the deal was $150. Therefore, my profit is $30,000. So I had to risk $10,000 in order to make $30,000. But now let me approach this same scenario, and instead of me putting in $10,000 for the rehab, imagine I go to the hard money lender and I say, hey, let's just partner on it. You put up the capital, I'll put up the work, we'll split the profit 50-50. So instead of him lending $140, he's investing $150. Same thing happens, we sell it for $200,000, 10 grand for realtor fees and closing costs. Now we're down to $190, minus the $150 that he put in. Now we have a profit of $40,000. He makes $20,000 on the deal. I make $20,000 on the deal. See, that hard money lender now doubles his return. I make less, but I have no risk. Not every hard money lender wants to partner. Some of them just want to make that investment and get checks in the mail, but a lot of them would much rather partner on a deal, particularly if they believe in your ability as an operator. You do a partnership with a hard money lender one time, gain their confidence, you will likely have access to more capital than you can handle as an operator. The floodgates are open. I've utilized that method among hard money lenders to create partnerships for myself. Frankly, I learned it when I was lending hard money. Somebody came to me and said, hey, would you rather do a partnership? And I said, absolutely. And I'll tell you what, I doubled my money. Now I've created a business where my entire operation is a blue collar investor, finding deals, fixing deals, facilitating deals. And we have partners throughout the entire country wanting to do deals with us. So that's my take on hard money lending. If you're new, be careful with it. It can be a double-edged sword if you don't know what you're doing. Point number one, know your numbers. Point number two, only borrow the purchase price. And point number three, once you've gained some skills as a rehabber and an operator, consider just partnering with these hard money lenders and making a lot more money because of the volume that you're able to handle. Thanks for watching. Do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.